Hello and welcome back to Ganga Education. On this platform, you will find quality lectures relating to the field of law, competitive examination in legal domain, important legal facts and legal history, all explained in clear and structured manner.
We are going to discuss recent amendment of Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita 2023 made on 18th March 2026.
So, there's a brand new criminal code, the BNSS, rolling out across India. But here's the thing, the state of Maharashtra is already making some major edits. Today, we're going to break down exactly how the state is giving its police more power, more flexibility, and, you guessed it, more time. Let's dig in and see what this all means for the justice system there.
Here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll get the lay of the land with the new national code. Then, we'll jump into how Maharashtra is tweaking day-to-day police work, giving them some new tools, and maybe most importantly, changing some key deadlines. And finally, we'll put all the pieces together to see the big picture.
All right, first things first. Before we can really get into the edits, we've got to understand the original document. What is this new national code, and how can a state like Maharashtra just go in and change it? So think of it like this. The BNSS is the new nationwide rulebook for the entire criminal justice process. But here's the key. Criminal procedure is a subject where both the central government and the state governments can make laws. This is what opens the door for a state like Maharashtra to say, okay, we'll use this national framework, but we need to fine-tune it for our own specific challenges. Okay, so this first set of changes might look a little technical, but they're all about one thing: decentralizing power to make everyday police work faster and more efficient. It's all about who gets to make the call. First up, let's talk about the Special Executive Magistrate. This is an official who has the power to take action to keep public order. Now, under the national law, you had to be a pretty high-ranking officer, a superintendent of police, to get this job. But Maharashtra is lowering that bar, saying an assistant commissioner or a subdivisional officer can now be appointed. And why are they doing this? Well, the logic, straight from the source, is pretty simple. They're arguing that these are the officers who are actually on the ground, managing the investigations day to day. So, it just makes sense to give them this authority. It's all about aligning power with who's really doing the work. And we see this exact same idea in the next change to Section 107. This is about getting the green light to seize property that's connected to crime. Before, only the big bosses, a superintendent or commissioner of police, could sign off. Now, they're adding the joint commissioner of police to that list. And again, you don't have to guess their reasoning. It's spelled out right here. They want to expedite and decentralize. The whole point is to cut down on delays by having more people who can give that final approval, which should, in theory, speed up the process of seizing assets from criminals. Okay, moving on from the admin stuff, the next amendment gives law enforcement a very specific new weapon in their arsenal to fight one of the country's biggest problems, the drug trade.
Now, before we see the change, you need to understand this existing tool called Section 129. It's a preventive measure. It lets a magistrate tell a known habitual offender, hey, you need to put up a security bond, basically a financial guarantee that you're going to behave yourself.
So the amendment itself is actually very simple, but it has a huge impact. They're adding offenses under the NDPS Act, the main drug law, to this list. This means that people who are caught again and again for drug crimes can now be required to put up that bond for good behavior. It's another way for police to keep tabs on them. And no surprise here, the government's reasoning is crystal clear. This whole change is specifically designed to give police a stronger hand when it comes to dealing with the drug trade. It's another preventive tool to use against repeat offenders. All right, now we get to what might be the two most significant changes of them all. And both of them are about one thing: time. Specifically, how long someone can be held in custody and how long police have for that very first part of an investigation. This is a biggie. Maharashtra is adding a whole new part to Section 170. And what's really interesting is that this is actually bringing back a power that the state had under the old criminal code, but that didn't make it into the new national BNSS. It lets police hold someone for longer than the usual 24 hours if they're considered a threat to public order. So, how does this actually work? Well, there are some important checks and balances here. First, the police can't just decide this on their own. They have to write up a report and take the person to a magistrate. Then the magistrate has to agree that, yes, this person is a threat. Only then can they be held, and even then, it's capped at 15 days at a time, up to a total of 30. And, crucially, the arrested person has to be told why they're being held, and they have the right to appeal. Okay, so the next change messes with the clock right at the very start of a case. We're talking about the preliminary inquiry. This is the first step police take to figure out if there's even enough evidence to file a formal case, an FIR. Under the new national BNSS, that timeline was pretty tight. Police had just 2 weeks, 14 days to conduct that initial check and decide if a case was worth pursuing at all. Now look at what Maharashtra has done. They've taken that 2-week period and stretched it all the way out to 6 weeks. That's a massive extension, giving police a much, much longer runway to gather facts before they have to commit to a full-blown investigation. So we've looked at administrative tweaks, new tools to fight drug crime, and some pretty major changes to legal timelines. So what does this all add up to? Let's zoom out and connect the dots. When you line up all these changes side by side, a very clear pattern starts to emerge, right? This isn't just a random collection of edits. It's a very deliberate effort to give the police force in Maharashtra more authority, more operational freedom, and more time. The goal is to speed up approvals, get tougher on specific crimes like the drug trade, and just create more breathing room in both detention and investigation. And all of this leads us to the final and maybe most important question. The whole stated reason for these changes is to make law enforcement more efficient. But that raises a fundamental tension that everyone is going to be watching very closely. How will the state balance these new powers designed for speed and efficiency with the essential principles of due process and the fundamental rights of every individual? The answer to that is going to shape the future of criminal justice in Maharashtra.
Thank you for watching this session. If you found this lecture useful, do like, share and subscribe to Ganga Education. Keep learning, keep growing and stay connected for more law lectures.